sometimes people have what it takes, but they haven't recognized it yet. Just go forward. So what do you need to do? How do you stand out? So what you need to do is be that person that's different and is bigger than you think. Rise from the ashes and fly like the phoenixes that you are. Welcome, boys and girls, ladies and gentlemen, children of all ages. Appreciate you being on. My name is Andrew David. This is the High Performance Call with Blake Newbar and the Partner Program. I want to talk to you guys today about something I've talked about before, but I want to talk to you. It has come about because of some conversations that I've had recently with members, with other people that I coach, and then some of my own personal coaches and mentors.
You good over there?
And the power of relationships, the power of networks, and the power of listening to mentors and the right mentors. I bring this up because I had a conversation I mentioned yesterday with a buddy of mine, Jason. Jason started marketing online now 20 years ago, almost, like when he started doing direct response marketing, when he would go to parking lots, leave flyers that led people to a website. They would read something and then make a phone call for him to then take them through a funnel process. You talk about what you guys need to do to put together a funnel. Now, that was a funnel with some serious action steps involved. And that's how he got started in the world of marketing. And from there, he's done all sorts of other things. He's worked oftentimes behind the scenes with different programs, helped produce, hundreds of millions of dollars in sales online. And from there, he's now in the process of, building out a foundation to help individuals and families and couples. And he's seriously involved there. And after that phone call, it led me to a conversation with Blake and what he's doing and what he's been able to accomplish. A young man who's younger than me. He's done, over 20 million in just the last few years. It led me to another conversation with with a guy who is, I think he turns 25 in the next few months. And is currently running a social media business that's doing over 7 figures monthly. And he's got real estate investments and other things going on. So another mentor of mine who happens to be 17 years younger that I'm listening to. And then to another one who is a real estate investor. And my point is I stopped and I was looking at that and looking at the effort that I'm putting into trying to create and raise my circle that's around me, that network. Now, it had been something that years ago I had put effort into, and I was able to build up some contacts. And then COVID hit, and networking during COVID kind of made things difficult, but it modified the way I did it. And I started looking more online and building some relationships that way. But what I've decided to do over the course of the next few months is kind of double down in that regard. And I've got, an event that's coming up in beginning of September. I'm heading off to Austin for a leadership mastermind that I was invited to just recently. I've got a small one that I'm hosting in Colorado later in September. I've got something in Miami that I'm looking at for October. I've got another one with Steve Sims and his speakeasy in November. And then I'm looking at hiring a coach at a pretty high level that should kick off in the next couple of months as well. And I'm looking at it and I'm just looking at how much my growth has been dictated by those that I've surrounded myself with or those that I've sought out as mentors. And I had a conversation with someone recently who was brand new to online marketing and had never really done anything on their own. And we were talking about the ways to do things. And we said, well, here's what kind of Blake recommends. Here's what I would recommend for you. And here's some ideas. And they went, yeah, I hear that, but I'm not going to do that because I saw someone post on Facebook that blah, blah, blah. And I went, right, but you're going to get, like, we've done this. We've tested it. I've tested it. We've tested it with hundreds of people. Blake's tested it. We've spent hundreds of thousands of dollars testing this and doing it this way. We know that this is going to work. Yeah, but no, I saw someone else and yeah, they were fairly new, but they said that they tried it, didn't work. So I'm going to try something else. And I just I looked at it and I recognized there's so many different things that we're doing in our life where you pull your information from, guys, is going to be more important to your overall growth than you can possibly imagine. So what I want to do, I'm going to give you a couple of things to kind of look at, because reflecting on these, I came across a few realizations. Number one, you can rarely achieve what you don't know or you expect is possible. Like, that's the first thing. Talking with these guys who have done incredible things, especially, Blake and, this younger guy I was talking about, they just believe everything is possible. There is no doubt in their mind that they can achieve something. Maybe it's because they haven't been jaded long enough by the world to build up a doubt in their mind of what's possible. So when people tell them, hey, it's just not going to work, they go, whatever it is, and they do it. And maybe that's it. But so one of the first things you need is you've got to know or expect what is possible. The second realization that I have was that self-development is rarely achieved in a bubble or without massive action. And what I mean is you can, and we are now in this world where, you can get yourself just so put your blinders on, and all you've got is this little bubble that you're in, and you don't get outside of it and get other influence. But you got to take a look at who's inside that bubble as well. But guys, it takes, for you to achieve something, self-development is key, but massive action goes hand in hand. And if you're unwilling to put those two things together, you're never going to get far. You can learn all that you want, but if you don't act on it, it's never going to matter. And if you act and act and act, but you're not working on yourself, there is an imbalance there. It's just like the Force in Star Wars. There has to be balance in the Force. And so we're not looking at the light and the dark here. We're simply looking at action and education. You've got to work on both. One of the other realizations, it's difficult to get to a destination if you don't have a roadmap. And oftentimes that roadmap has got to be, the right roadmap has got to be written by or given to you by someone that's gotten there already. And if you're working on a roadmap that you're just simply talking with a handful of people that are filled with conjecture or have never pushed themselves or never actually achieved anything, then you're going to struggle to get anywhere. Next, it's harder to get there when you don't know anyone who can navigate when that's been there before, right? So people are rarely achieve beyond the levels of their peer group and their role models. Now, we've talked about this before. There's a saying by Jim Rohn that came up years ago that, you are the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. And I've talked in detail about studies that show that it's much, much bigger than that, that it's not just, financially, it's your health, it's success, it's, obesity and weight, it's all sorts of other things. The people that you spend time with, it's the people that they spend time with, and then the people outside of that. You've got to look at your circle and you've got to figure out what you need to do, right? So now here's the thing though, let's be real. Most of us don't have people surrounding us who are living the lives that we dream of. Most of us don't have that. We don't have people who can provide the roadmap or directions on when we're lost. And we don't have people who can give counsel instead of just advice. Counsel is rooted in experience. Advice is simply, I saw it somewhere. And so you need to go out and actively work at finding them. You've got to push yourself to bring people into that circle if you want any kind of change to happen. I've done trainings, and you can find them on the YouTube channel on building relationships. I've got upcoming guests that are going to talk about building $1 million relationships. Guys, you've got to find people to bring into that circle, and you need to stretch in a big, big way if you want to change the way that you think, the way that you act, and what you're going to achieve. And if you think you can do it on your own, sitting at home, just, hey, I'm going to work and I'm going to put my head down and I'm just going to get it done. If you think that's all that it takes, I'm sorry to tell you guys, it's going to take more. But here's a couple of things that you've got to remember when you go to building relationships. And I've talked about this again. You can find some of these trainings, they're there. But number one is you've got to be on a pathway of constant and never-ending personal development and improvement. Like constant. And there are some of you, most of you guys that are here, I know I'm preaching to the choir. There's some that may watch this on replay or that may be brand new here and that are downplaying the personal development side. You think all you need is a list of what you need to do to get started and you can make that work. And you know what? 1 out of every 10,000 or 100,000 people can absolutely do that. Some people are just wired that way. But at some point, even those people seek out mentors that are going to get them over the hump. Okay. So you have to be on that constant journey. Next is it's intentionally crafted networks. The people that are around you, if who you surround yourself, who you're surrounded with matters, then you've got to strategically and intentionally cultivate relationships with the right people, audit your circle often, make adjustments, bring in better and better people, because hopefully you're striving and you're either surrounded by people that are striving just as hard and you are all growing together, or you're surrounded by people that are so far ahead of you that it's going to take you years to chase them down, or you're willing to leave people in the dust if they're not developing themselves. And those are some of the hardest decisions to make. I have had to look at certain relationships that I've had, people that were mentors in my past that are no longer in that, they're not in that capacity. They may forever be friends, but I don't seek guidance from them anymore because I've moved past. And it's not an easy thing to do. And it's not to say that they can't still share wisdom or knowledge or love, but there are certain things that I'm now chasing down that are beyond where they can guide me. And so I need other people to fill that role. And you guys need to be willing to step into that as well. Next is you've got to build a strong reputation, meaning you can posture for position all that you want, but you've got to have some works that come behind it. It's just like running ads, and we've talked about it. One of the reasons we talk about having organic stuff, like putting out content, is because if you run an ad and people show up and you got nothing to back it up, if your foundation is weak, I'm sorry, you're weak. If I go and I try and have a relationship with a mentor and they go, because now you are laid bare before the world in most scenarios. And if your presence doesn't back up what you're looking to do, most of those mentors that you are seeking aren't going to be as willing to put things into you because there's nothing there. But at the same time, if you do put in that work, and not just reputation, but if you put in work, you bring more value to the table. If I can walk into a scenario and I know I can bring value, even if that person is a tier or two above me, but there's value to be brought, then a relationship may be possible. If I sit there and just say, give me, I am in need, right? You want to look at the parable of the talents, right? Where much is given, much is required. Or, if you've got just the one and you go bury it, or you go and you do everything you can with everything that you've been given, right? And you seek for a way to have more. You've got to dig the well deep enough. Next is you need to treat your relationships, treat your connections like a relationship and not a one-night stand. Too many of you guys treat, and I see it all the time, some of you guys treat, not just me, but I can see through a conversation how you treat your other connections. You know what I mean? Oftentimes that's the case. And then people ask why they struggle with things. And I go, well, and I want the truth is because everything is transactional for you instead of being built on a relationship. And if you treat all of your business relationships in that way, you're leaving a trail behind you that's broken, and you're passing up all of the opportunities that could have propelled you forward. Right? And that's just the reality. Take a look at who you surround yourself with right now, and what you need to do to expand your circle and include those that are going to help get you to the next level in ways that you can increase your own worth and how you can bring value to a relationship and what you need to do. It's not a process that just happens, but you have to actively be involved in creating the environment that will allow you to grow. Now, all of these things I'm going to write up. I'm going to give you guys, I'm going to put it inside the Google Drive, just as kind of thoughts. And I'm excited because over the course of the next few months and in coming years, I plan on building some of those relationships and either getting at every event that I can, or hosting events, or doing whatever is necessary so that I can bring some extra value into my life and then in turn share it with you. And I'm pretty stoked for what's on board and as far as that goes. But what I'd like to see is some of you guys doing the same thing, because the potential that is here on these calls when you guys are live, watching on the recording, the potential that's there is much bigger than you guys give yourselves credit for, right? You just need to put it in play. You just need to get it done, right? And believe that you can. Quit bumping up against walls and going, oh, I would, but no more. You guys have access to a world that is limitless. It is an infinite realm that we are walking in. You just have to decide to take part in it. On that note, I will talk with you guys tomorrow. Same bat time, same bat channel. Go out and be awesome. Rise up from the ashes, fly like the phoenixes that you are. Have an amazing day. Love you guys. Bye-bye. Sometimes people have what it takes, but they haven't recognized it yet. Just go forward. So what do you need to do? How do you stand out? So what you need to do is be that person that's different and is bigger than you think. Rise from the ashes and fly like the phoenixes that you